So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about the most controversial teammate for Caitlin Clark, and it's Kelsey Mitchell. The reason I'm saying controversial is that nothing to do with her off the floor, all just to do with her game, because you've got people on one end saying that she needs to be gone, that she's useless, that she can't catch the ball, the last of which is actually pretty true. She does struggle catching the ball. But then you've got people on the other hand talking about how she's the top scorer on this team, that it's in fact Caitlin Clark's problem, that Kelsey Mitchell's actually the best player on this team, and all it is crap. And actually, no, sorry. Caitlin Clark haters will never admit that, will never say that she's the best, because you can actually, there's almost no argument to go Mitchell over Caitlin Clark, but they'll say she's the second best. It's actually Aaliyah Boston. You know what? And Alyssa Smith's actually the third best player. Caitlin Clark's a role player. It's controversial because of the way she plays. Before we get on to the breakdown, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're trying to hit 11.7 thousand subscribers by the end of the day, which I think we could hit. So, we're going to be talking about what Kelsey Mitchell does well, what Kelsey Mitchell does bad, and whether or not, as she is a free agent, the team should be looking to keep her, whether they should be looking to trade, or to, well, they can't really trade her, whether they should be looking to let her walk, or whether or not she should be built around and ran through as much as she is right now. So if you guys don't know anything about Kelsey Mitchell, she has been really good individually for years. For years, she has been really, really good. Just as far as a pure scorer is concerned, she scores with the best of them. So if you want to look at like her basketball reference page, this season she's just overtaken Caitlin Clark in points per game in the last 5 games. But if you're looking at field goals attempted, like she shot 18 in the last game, but some of these games, like 8 of 11, 7 of 13, 7 of 14. She's been shooting ridiculously efficiently. And like for the season, she's not shooting well. So obviously you can see that it's been a bit of an anomaly. But for the season, she has not been shooting well. But the only problem is that even though she is an out-and-out scorer, like she is a freaking one of the best scorers in the league. Like points per game, all-star last year, averaging 18.4 points per game 2 years ago. Do you know how many games they won 2 years ago? 5. Kelsey Mitchell's record, I need to just check just to see, is there a stat muse, just to see how many games Kelsey Mitchell has won as a team. I'm in Europe, so I can't see stat muse, but I think she's won, I don't know how many games she's won, but her team has been awful. So the 2018, in her rookie year, that is the summary. In her rookie year, they won 6 games. In her second year, and this is despite like obviously being the second pick, they won 13 and 20. They went 13 and 21 in her second year. In her third year, which is the bubble, which doesn't really count, they won 6 games and 16. In 2021, the first year out of the bubble, they win 6 games again. In 2022, they won 5 games. They went 5 and 31. In 2023, she had her second best season ever, 13 and 27. So she has been putting up really good stats, and especially scoring stats for her entire career. But the Indiana Fever have sucked, and whether or not you attribute to her usage is yet to be, or you think that she's been the best of a bad bunch. It's clear that like since coming to the WNBA, she's hardly won a game. But when you look at Kelsey Mitchell play, a lot of the huge runs that the Indiana Fever go on are Kelsey Mitchell just heating up. She is the biggest black hole on this team. She gets the ball, and she sometimes turns into prime Allen Iverson, where she burns people off the dribble. She sometimes turns into prime GeoWise. There are people that don't understand the reference. If you guys don't know who GeoWise is, if you guys have never seen the guy on YouTube, all he does is, this is GeoWise. This is GeoWise. That's not the right trip. That's not the right clip to use. But there are clips of him just going, tween, 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 step back airball. Tween, 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 step back 3. Like, it is just dribble spam and then do something and hope it goes in. Because that is a lot of what Kelsey Mitchell does on the floor. But there is a big problem, is that like when the earlier Kelsey Mitchell touches the ball in the offense, the worse she is. And I've watched every single game the Fever played this year. I watched quite a few Fever games last year. And the reality is that she's one of the best scorers in the WNBA. So for people saying, oh, Kelsey Mitchell is like, she's a must-keep player. They can't, like, they don't grow on trees, which is true. Like, that is fully true. Like, players who score the ball like Kelsey Mitchell do not grow on trees. But at the same time, she's a player that if she touches the ball early in an offense, she's going to do something dumb. She's going to do something really dumb. And she is a bad shot maker. And I don't know, even in the history of basketball, how many players who have really dumb shot selection. And I'm not even going to say like the deep threes are dumb shot selection. It's when she takes them off 8 dribbles, she misses every single time. She struggles catching the ball. She struggles running the floor. And she really struggles. Like when the team are in that sprint up and down tempo, at times she can struggle. But at the end of the day, she is the best isolation scorer on this team. When the going gets tough, she is a player that you can put, even more so than Clark, you can put the ball in Kelsey Mitchell's hands and say, go get us a bucket. So it's very clear that, like, some people saying that she needs to come off the bench, or, which mightn't actually be the worst thing, or that she needs to go, that she's ruining Caitlin Clark's career. That's just not, simply put, not the case. Anyone saying that she's not passing the ball to Caitlin Clark, she doesn't pass the ball to anybody. She is a black hole. She gets the ball and sees the rim. And it really just depends on how much the team should value a player like that. Because she might be the top, she might end up probably this year as the top scorer on this team. But she's going to take the most shots on this team. For every really high efficiency game she has, she could have a 2 of 14 game. She just went on a bit of a hot streak over the 4-game winning streak. But I think that Kelsey Mitchell's a good player. If you're asking me, is she better than, for example, like a Kennedy Carter? No. Like, Kennedy Carter is, in my opinion, just the quickest, like, live wire scorer in this league. You could argue Kelsey Mitchell second in that kind of mold. In that undersized, I'm not going to play defense, I'm just going to give you one thing and it's scoring. It's just, I think that if the Fever want to have major success, I think they need to surround, like, I think you can only keep one of NaLyssa Smith or Kelsey Mitchell, because I think they're both so bad on defense that you cannot play the two of them with Caitlin Clark at the same time. The team will never be able to play good defense. And the difference is that at least when it comes to Caitlin Clark, she's going to play decent off-the-ball defense. Her instincts are not even off-the-ball defense, weak side defense, off-the-ball and screen. That's the worst thing Caitlin Clark is at. And even on the ball, she's significantly better than both of these players. So it is a really tough one when we're talking about do they keep her, because she's going to need a max contract. And I think because Wheeler's gone as well, they're going to have 2 max contract slots. And I know that they can pay Mitchell more than anyone. And I know that Mitchell will probably be looking to get as much money as possible. But she's proven so far in her career that she's not a winning player. It isn't like Aaliyah Boston or Clark who have come into a bad situation. Other than the one season she had Aaliyah Boston, this team has been absolutely garbage since she's come in. They've been absolutely garbage. And regardless of her stats, they haven't gotten any better. And I think that I'm just not sure how important she's going to be to the future of the Fever if they're trying to win. Like, if I'm Indiana, I've said it, I think the player that they go for is Dejanay Carrington. I think Dejanay Carrington, you give her every cent that she wants, and I think you could convince her, because I don't think Connecticut can match that. Regardless of how she feels about Caitlin Clark, NaLyssa Smith's on the team. You keep NaLyssa Smith, she's still under a rookie deal, and you put in a Dejanay Carrington there, especially if you don't make the playoffs, and you have a chance of getting Paige or Kiki. That is a starting 5. That's a 5th seed starting 5. That's a starting 5 to finish the 5th seed. Whereas Kelsey Mitchell, I think she's good, but I think this is your Golden State Warriors Monte Ellis moment. Monte Ellis was a better scorer, but he took away from what Steph Curry did. And he was very one-dimensional. And again, other than the We Believe year, had been part of bad teams. And the better he was playing, it was on bad teams. I think this is your Golden State Warriors Monte Ellis moment. That you've got a player that is really good. Because I don't think if you're saying Kelsey Mitchell's a bad player, you're just wrong. Like, you're just wrong. She's good. She's really good at what she does. But I just think in the way of playing with the Fever at their best, I think the best situation with the Fever is you get 4 runners. You get 4 runners. You get 3 defensive runners around Caitlin Clark. you have Caitlin Clark running the show, and you have Aaliyah Boston for the pick and roll when it slows down to half court. And I think that team is a top 4 team in the WNBA. Because I think they can play at a tempo that's hard to keep up with. And I just don't know the use of a isolation, dribble scorer who could give you 25 points in one game or could shoot you out of the game the next. I think Kelsey Mitchell's really good. And I think Kelsey Mitchell is most effective as a first option on a bad team. I don't know how effective she can be as a third option. Or even like with the way she's been playing at the fourth option, because the ball gets to her and she can attack. And when she does that, she's efficient. As I've said so many videos, when she makes quick decisions, when she goes one dribble to the basket, when she uses her speed, when she pulls up for mid, when she shoots off the catch, she's a really good shooter. But when Kelsey Mitchell takes 3-4 between the leg dribbles and attacks the basket, and she misses layups half the time. Anytime Kelsey Mitchell has to think, she struggles. And like there are basketball players like that, and that's not on her. But when she's able to play off her instinct, just go one dribble to the basket, just catch, shoot, like it's nothing. She's really good. But when she's running the break and she has to think about catching the ball and, oh crap, what do I do? She fumbles the ball half the time. So it is an interesting one because I think they keep her. I honestly don't think it'll be the right decision, but it's not the end of the world. Look, if you're keeping Kelsey Mitchell, it's not a bad decision for you as a basketball team. It's not a bad decision for the Fever to keep her. I ideally don't think they should, because I think you can find better players that will play a style of play that will suit a team better. But if you're keeping Christy Sides as a coach, you're never going to play that style of play anyway. So why not just keep Kelsey Mitchell? Because look, she's going to give you 16 to 18 points a game. That's what she's going to give you. She's a professional scorer. She's not going to give you any defense. She will not pass the ball to anyone. It's not like she's freezing out Caitlin Clark. She's just a black hole. Anyone who's played basketball has played with black holes. She's a black hole. And it all just depends on how much you value her, whether or not you like her. And that's why I think her, like, people that, well, I'm not even going to say people that like her, because I don't even think that many Fever fans are the biggest fans of her. It's the Caitlin Clark haters, because she does do some things really well, are able to put her on a pedestal being like she's actually the best guy on the team. Whereas the Caitlin Clark stands are like she's actually ruining Caitlin Clark, when the reality is somewhere in the middle. The reality is that her play style does not necessarily complement what Caitlin Clark does very well, but she's really good. That's where the truth is. The truth is that she's a really good player, does not fit Caitlin Clark. But at the end of the day, like, look, if you're going to turn Caitlin Clark into Vandersloot, if you're only letting her shoot 10 times a game, then like you're not going to be able to get rid of Kelsey Mitchell. And at the same time, not even letting her shoot 10 times a game, if you're taking the ball out of her hand in the fourth quarter for a mismax contract, I think it's going to be hard. But I think there are better players you can get for a max. I think there's going to be ways, like if you've got 2 max slots, coming into the year, pay Carrington more than what Connecticut can afford. And if Connecticut can't, like, if Connecticut don't want to give up Bree Jones, which they won't, they might have to let Carrington go. And then you're looking at situations where you're like, okay, maybe we can go and pay, like, they can't afford to keep their players. Maybe we can try to convince NECA out of Seattle. Probably won't be able to, but if Seattle have a disastrous season, you might be able to do that. And then you're looking at a real good team next year.